Hey guys, what is up and welcome to a new NVIDIA daily update video. So today, as per usual, let's go over NVIDIA stock. Let's go over what is happening with the stock, what we can expect moving forward into a pretty big day tomorrow, of course, with earnings after the bell. So let's talk about it. I'll give you my thoughts at least, and we'll go from there. If you enjoyed, don't forget to hit that like button. This is not financial advice, and I am not a financial advisor. And of course, if you enjoy my technical analysis, thoughts on the charts, etc., well, I do share my thoughts with our members every single day the market is open, as the market is trading. So definitely check it out if you're interested. For just $3 a month, it gives you access to the Tesla tier, which includes, of course, Tesla, constant updates, technical analysis, options flow, etc. every single day as the market is trading. $5 a month gives you access to NVIDIA as well as Tesla. And then the $7 a month for tier 3 is non-Tesla plus NVIDIA plus non-Tesla, non-NVIDIA stocks. For instance, the plays have been absolutely phenomenal lately. The market is absolutely on a tear. But even today, we found a good one I shared this morning on Pepsi. And it's already up like 2% from there. So that's pretty good too. So again, if you're interested, definitely check it out. But jumping into it, NVIDIA closing the day with a nice respectable, could be better to be completely honest, but a respectable, we'll say 3.2%, closing at 135.5, which compared to the market, you can argue is a bit of an underperformance actually, where the market up 2.35% on Qs. NVIDIA could have been doing a little bit better than that in my opinion. But nonetheless, still looking pretty decent as we approach earnings. So what can we expect moving forward? Well, first, taking a look at the daily, right? We're, dancing around that 8 exponential moving average. We pretty much held that trend line I've been showing you guys for quite some time, almost to perfection, right? Beautiful, beautiful hold, I should say, on Friday. Nice follow through today. And we've arguably broken out of what admittedly is a pretty not sexy looking bull flag, but a bull flag nonetheless. We're not here to judge. And you can see in the morning, it pretty much bounced off of it almost to perfection. I actually shared this with our members pretty much right in the morning. That's 4 days ago. I shared it with my members in the morning, I think right around here. You can see, NVIDIA right here broke out its messy bull flag, but as long as I see NVIDIA holding around 133, we can target a move closer to 136, followed by 140. But this is only a target pre-earnings if we find this strength. So you can see pretty much right as it was retesting that bull flag is when I shared it. And hey, what did we go to? Pretty much 136, almost on the dot, right? So pretty good to see that. But, the question is, of course, what happens next? Well, again, tomorrow, in my opinion, is the last day to really have any technical analysis that makes sense because, again, like I always say, earnings is a big question mark. Technical analysis, in my opinion at least, it's weaker. It's a lot weaker when it comes to such an event like earnings, right? Because it's such an anomaly, right? It's a massive, massive question mark in the air. No one can predict what's going to happen, or at the very least, it's substantially more difficult, right? So the way I look at it is as follows. If NVIDIA can essentially break above 136 to 137 as early as tomorrow, which I'll be surprised if it could, but if it can, right, then we can definitely start looking for a quick push up, maybe even a quick squeeze closer to 140 into earnings. But this, again, all this TA only relies on, or only is valid, I should say, tomorrow. Because again, tomorrow after the bell, we got the earnings. So let's see how that plays out, right? But you can see 136-ish to 137, and the reason that's why I said that to my members is kind of that fair value gap, right? We had that massive, massive sell-off over here, and we left a massive fair value gap over here, which we're roughly filling. Could maybe get a little bit cleaner of a fill tomorrow, back into like the, actually go into the 136s, but that's as best as I see, at least for now. And again, if we break that, 140 is next. But again, this is all assuming it happens pre-earnings. So the way I'll be looking at it, honestly, moving forward is this, right? Now, it does have this clean bull flag breakout, etc. But, similar to a lot of things in the market right now, despite the market being very bullish, SPY breaking out this, seemingly kind of nice looking mini bull flag, if you will, we are seeing, or at least I am seeing, a lot of bearish divergences, especially on the Qs. The Qs did lose this trend line, right? And it's kind of coming back into it. And on top of that, the Qs is making equal highs, but it's making a lower high on the RSI. So it's a medium strength bearish divergence. And especially if the Qs make its way higher, closer to 530, there's a damn good chance that the RSI will not make a higher high and the Qs will continue to printing a bearish divergence, right? So I'm on the watch for that, right? That is a bit of a concern to me across the market as a whole right now, despite the momentum still being absolutely bullish. I am starting to see those situations, and NVIDIA is absolutely the same, where it's also pretty much making equal highs in terms of candle closures, but a very evident lower high on the RSI. That to me is just signs of a bearish divergence. Now, whether or not that actually matters, and who knows, right? Because again, we do have earnings coming up tomorrow, so take everything with a grain of salt. But the way I'll be looking at it post earnings is this, right? Post earnings is pretty simple. If we, let's say, do a whole lot of nothing tomorrow and we go into earnings pretty much around here, I'll be looking for a move closer to 140, best case scenario, filling this fair value gap in the high 140s post earnings, right? That will be my two main targets after earnings. To the upside, of course, to the upside. To the downside, however, I do expect a pretty big move after earnings. I'm pretty sure the earnings move on NVIDIA is here. Let me see. NVIDIA earnings implied move should be, let's take a quick peek at it and see if this is telling us here. Let's take a look over here, right? It's expecting about almost a 9% move. So closer to 147, that fair value gap I literally just mentioned, 123, which is actually my target to the downside, believe it or not. The worst case scenario, well, not the worst case, the main case if it sells off post earnings is going to be, yeah, 123 roughly is where I start seeing a potential opportunity for NVIDIA. If I see 123, okay, you know, I could be getting interested around there. Absolutely. I think from there we could get a bit of a nice move to the upside, you know, something like this as the exponential moving averages start to kind of contract a little bit more. Because again, with exponential moving averages looking the way they are, the momentum is unquestionably bullish, even if it comes down to 123, right? But that'll be my main target to the downside. Worst case scenario will be all the way down here closer to, you know, the 115s-ish, but it will be a bit of more of a question mark, to be completely honest with you. If we do sell off post earnings, I would like to see pretty much 120 to 123, this region right here. I would like to see it hold. That would be my ideal scenario for that to hold. So let's see how that plays out. But that's kind of my main two levels that I'm looking for NVIDIA to, you know, occur post earnings. And again, in my opinion, not that much else matters, to be completely honest with you, because again, technical analysis, again, you know, admittedly, it does fall apart a little bit when it comes to such a big event like earnings, especially when the expected move is like 7-8%. Who the hell knows? But those are the main two targets, right? Best case scenario up here, worst case scenario, realistically, I should say, is all the way down here. 123 and high 140s is, you know, those two scenarios. If it happens to be a volatility crush, then I'll be looking for closer to 140 versus closer to about 128. If it's a volatility crush and we don't get that expected move and it's much less than expected, it'll be somewhere around those two levels. But yeah, we'll take it, you know, level by level, day by day. And again, with such a big event tomorrow, I see no reason to gamble on this, personally speaking, and that's just my opinion. So yeah, let's see how it goes. Let's take a quick look at options flow and on NVIDIA and just see what's happening over here on the stock. A lot of bullish flow, actually, you know, definitely more bulls than bears throughout the day. You can see a lot more green than red for the most part, but towards the end of the day, a little bit of a mixed flow, right? Not really, you know, conducive one way or the other, to be completely honest with you. So let's see how that plays out. And the last thing, of course, is going to be the weekly, where we do have this potential threat of this very large, extremely large head and shoulders pattern. Again, I still don't think it's going to play out. I think worst case scenario, NVIDIA makes its way back down to about that kind of, you know, lower end on the 120s, which even on the weekly, that'll be nothing more than a retest of the exponential moving averages, and even arguably a retest of this trend line breakout. So, you know, it'll be something like this. That's the way I'd look at it, right? Especially with the weekly MACD on the verge of flipping bullish as well. So I don't know. Again, the way I look at it is, if it sells off to like 120 to 123, as long as that holds, that could be a pretty nice opportunity for bulls, to be completely honest with you. But again, let's take a, you know, let's let this talk to us. Let's let it tell us. This is just me trying to predict it. But again, no reason to predict. Let's let it decide for us. It's literally tomorrow. So yeah, but those are my honest thoughts. Those are what I see moving forward for the stock. And yeah, let me know what you think down below. Thank you so much for watching. See you tomorrow. Peace.